Okay guys, E36 headliner replacement, a job that I didn't really want to attack and I've been putting off. I'm going to do today, and by the end of the video hopefully you're going to see a new black suede cover on my E36 headliner. Stay with me, see how we get on. I'm going to show you first of all what we've got to remove before we actually take the headliner out of the car. Okay, so we're inside the car. As you can see, it looks like a nightmare of a job, but it's actually a bit easier than it looks. You've got to take all the sun visors off, all the light fittings, all the centre panel for the sunroof. We've got to take the handles off. Coming around to the rear of the car, we're going to have to take off the C-pillar coverings, the handle at the back, and then after that the roof lining will come out the car, but there's a bit of a trick to it, especially in a coupe like this. So I'll take all these bits off and I'll get to that point and then catch up with me when I'm pulling the lining out the car, guys. Alright, so we've now got the headlining almost completely out. I've got it precariously hanging on the light unit here, as you can see. It doesn't weigh anything, so that's fairly safe. And I've got it sitting on the C-pillars at the back of the car. I don't know if you can just make that out on the video, guys. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to push it back, let it clear the front of this light, and then I'm going to push and manipulate it so it hopefully comes out this door that I'm in just now. And to do that, I've got the seats all the way forwards and leaned all the way backwards. Okay, right, I've got the headline out basically at a funny angle now. I'm going to manipulate it so it comes almost horizontally out the car, like this. And being a coupe, it should slide out this door without creasing it. There you go, one headlining out the car, guys. So this is what it looks like. The reason I've done it out the passenger door like that is it will only come out that way. The steering wheel will get in the way on the other side, so you can't remove it from the car. So if you follow the instructions I've given you, seats all the way forwards, backs all the way back, be gentle with it and you should get it out in one piece without creasing it or bending it at any of the weak points. Okay, so I've got the headline in here. Now the first thing you're going to notice, guys, is this is black and it's not supposed to be. The material in my car was getting to the point where I couldn't live with it anymore, and I didn't have the time and the effort to want to change this headlining at the point when I got rid of the fabric. So I took the fabric off and I got rid of all of, or 99% of all the foam that's left behind when you take the fabric off the headlining material. So what you're looking at here is basically a naked headliner that's been sprayed black just to make it live withable for a few months until I got to the point where I could make this video. So really it's pretty much ready to stick material on, except for a few little bits of foam that are left behind. So I'm going to try and prep this as best I can and get rid of these excess bits of foam, clean it up as really, I want to spend a lot of time here making sure it's got nothing left on it, no lumps, no uneven parts, and then we'll take the big step and we'll start getting the material on. Right guys, so we've got the roof lining here, we've got the material on it. As you notice, this is the back side of the material here. What I've done is I've laid the material over the roof lining, so I've got plenty of extra going over the edges. You should be in the front of the frame there, you'll be able to see I've got a good sort of 6 to 8 inches hanging over the edges, just to make sure I had plenty of fabric to play with. I'm not too worried about trying to be smart and trying to save extra pieces of fabric for other jobs. It didn't cost me a lot of money, so we're going to use it the easiest way possible. I've masked up the bench that I'm working on with this big bit of paper here. Extra added bit of blood from my finger, which is always good for posterity. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to spray the roof lining, and then I'm going to spray the fabric, and I'm going to let it go tacky. I'm using 3M90. I looked up on the internet, a few guys that had done this sort of job and had problems with the glue coming off and it's sagging after a little while. This was supposed to be one of the best stuffs to use. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth every penny, and I've got 3 cans of it just so I've got absolutely enough. This says you need to give it a minute to let it go tacky. So we'll give this a try and we'll see how we get on. Okay, so I'm spraying a little bit over the edges to allow for any of this sinkage, which is going to happen as I pull the fabric tight. And get a good coat on there, guys. Okay, so we'll let this tack off. Okay, so we're going to start working it from the inside out, guys. So I'm going to take it right inside here and work my hands in. And what I'm doing is I'm just feeling for creases and trying to work them out as I go along. Okay, so now we've got this stage to this point. I'm not going to finish the edges yet. I'm going to just try and work this in as much as possible here. I've got a few bits of roughness on this top edge. Unfortunately, I think that might be partly the old foam that was left behind that I didn't get quite off. And a little bit of creasing going on with the fabric, but I'm not too displeased with that. It's at the back of the headlining, so we'll start with the front side now. Right, so I'm paying special attention to all the edges. Just make sure I get plenty of glue on there. Right guys, as you can see, I've not gone the whole way up on the roof lining yet because I'm going to work it to about, what's that going to take me to about here. This part here is going to be very, very difficult with all the curves and things, so we'll get it up and then we'll work it in at the last stage using our hands and see how we get on. Obviously this is the part that we're going to see the most often, so these bits we want to try and get perfect if we can. I think I'm going to get rid of the gloves, so I've got nice clean hands here. So as you can see, I'm having a lot of difficulty getting it to go into this curve here guys without it bubbling up. It's a case of trying your best, and I'm going to be happy with the result, which is 80% as good as the factory can do. So I'm just trying to work it in really slowly with my fingertips to get it to go right into that curve yet not crease. It's a bit of a nightmare because it wants to crease all the time. I think that feels like that's going in better that time. Yep, that one definitely has. Right, so I've done the best I can. I'm pretty happy with it, although it does have a few creases and bumps in. I've been using like a microfiber suede cloth, and it's actually pretty heavy material. It's not stretchy, and with all these compound curves and things on the E36 headlining, it doesn't want to conform and get in all the curves as nicely as it could. If you look just here at the tip of my finger, I've had to just bunch it together here because I don't want to cut it. I'd rather have it looking like that than have a cut in it where there's a potential for it to open up in the future. So I've left it like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it neat around the edge of the headlining, except for the back side, which obviously has to curve around because of the profile of the roof. So we'll get it all trimmed, I'll get the holes cut out, and then we'll look at putting it back in the car. Okay, so we've got the headline in, we've got it all trimmed, we've got it ready to go back in the car. Just to show you what I was talking about with getting it in and out of the car one more time, we're going to put it in, hopefully, we'll turn it around. So I've got the back side facing the camera there, make sure there's no crap on the back of it. I'm going to slot it in sideways to begin with, let's make sure the door is as open as it can be. So if you see that, we just tease it in there past the gear stick, past the steering wheel, and now once it's in there I'll get in the car underneath it and I'll manipulate it into position and put all the fittings back in, and we'll show you what it looks like once it's all bolted up, guys. Okay guys, we've got a headliner in the car. I'm pretty happy with it. I could have done a better job, I could have done a much worse job. It's all pretty well stuck up, as you can see. There's no big gappy bits, it's flat on top of the roof. So it's all back in the car. I've not done this sunroof panel, I've just used a bit of an offcut just to cover it at the moment, because that's a whole other ball game, which I'm going to try and attempt with a bit of foam underneath it. So hopefully this is going to keep me happy for a long time. Keep checking out the channel, I'm going to do much more E36 stuff in the future. Thanks for watching guys, headliner done, Paymo out.